All right, it is 4 o'clock. Hello and welcome everybody to Taking Campus Initiative to Heart, presented by Yu-Hui Chen and Carol-Ann Germain from SUNY Albany. I'm Samantha Danek. I'll be your moderator today. Hello.
Hello.
Try this one more time. So it is 4 o'clock. Welcome to Taking Campus Initiatives to Heart. I'm going to try to pull up bios and speak at the same time. So I'm Samantha Danek. I'll be the moderator for this session. So I will be watching the Q&A and passing questions along to our panelists. And they did say feel free to submit questions throughout the presentation, so it's a bit more like a conversation. So our presenters are Carol-Ann Germain from University at Albany. She is the Information Science, Informatics, and Sociology librarian. She's also the liaison for the Educational Opportunity Program and the Office of Academic Achievement. Her research interests include web usability, information literacy, and the persistence of electronic resources. Yu-Hui Chen is the Education and East Asian Studies librarian, and her research interests include web usability, web design, information architecture, and human-computer interaction. Just as a reminder to all of our attendees to try to put your questions in the Q&A down at the bottom of your screen, not in the chat. You'll notice they are separate buttons. All right, panelists, take it away.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I cannot hear you.
You can't hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah, but the audiences, I think they are muted. Yeah. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Take Campus Initiative to Heart, and our focus on internationalization and opportunity programs. So in my talk, I will focus on internationalization. And before we start, we have questions to ask the audience. So can we have the first poll question up? Okay, first question, does your campus have internationalization initiatives? So you can raise your hand.
We're not allowed to vote.
So how many? The second is your library involved with the internationalization initiatives? So after you answer these two questions, we are going to see the results.
They're still voting. Just a sec.
Okay, so we have 14 institution participants say their institution is doing internationalization, and then we have 7 saying the library is involved with these initiatives. Okay, that's good. It's good to know that, you know, libraries are involved in this undertaking. So I'm going to focus on this piece. And so I'll start with local. You know, we have been doing internationalization locally and internationally. And I'll start with local things that we are doing. Since 2005, you know, our university libraries have been hosting international student reception annually, and this event, this is an annual event, and it's sponsored by the Office of International Students and Scholar Services and University Auxiliary Services. And we have this reception because first of all, after the 3-day orientation, students are really exhausted. So we want to have celebration, you know, to celebrate their completion of the orientation. So we provide, plentiful refreshment to feed them, and we decorate, our venue with flags of world to make them feel at home. And we also have raffle drawings like rice cooker, and restaurants or supermarkets certificates and campus bookstore certificate. We use the raffle drawing to engage students and create excitement. And then the other purpose is we want to connect students with library faculty and staff, especially subject librarians and reference librarians. So during the reception, we greet students, we introduce ourselves to students, and faculty and staff, they feel free to communicate with students in the students' native language if they have the language expertise. And this create like a warm feeling and demonstrate that we value diversity. So the other purpose is to showcase the university library's information resources and services by offering library tours in different languages. Because many students, they came from countries that do not have the depth of library resources we offer. And also the extent of our offering sometimes, makes students feel overwhelming. We are hoping that using this interpersonal interaction, this personalized contact and library tour, that we can encourage students to request our services and find a welcoming place in the libraries. And the fourth purpose is actually promote research workshop that we designed specifically for international students. And I'm going to elaborate on this because this is kind of the second initiative. So, we know there's been concern in higher education about international students' academic writing, and a particular issue related to papers written by Asian students in terms of correctly citing and paraphrasing sources. So based on my East Asian background, I understand that, citing sources, the concept citing sources actually vary dramatically from Eastern to Western culture. So it's very easy for Asian students to commit like different kind of plagiarism unintentionally. So to kind of address this issue, in 2007, I collaborated with my one of my colleagues, Mary Van Woolen, to initiate a series containing 2 research workshops teaching international students how to conduct research using library resources and properly cite sources and avoid plagiarism. So, this workshop involve active learning. We don't just lecture. We engage students in group discussions and hands-on exercises. So they really like it and find it very useful. So we receive a lot of feedback, positive feedback. So actually starting 2007, the fall semester, we have been continuously invited to guest lecture on a 3-credit graduate course offered by the School of Education. It's academic writing in English as second language. We feel like students really need to kind of get this kind of concept at the very beginning when they arrive. And faculty members also, we receive faculty members buy-in. So it has been, very successful. The thing is that, when we offer this courses, this training, we also receive feedback from students because they feel that, well, citing sources correctly is very important. So later on, based on their feedback, we added a citation practice workshop, basically teach them how to formulate the full citation and also teach them how to paraphrase. We give them like passages for them to paraphrase and put in a coherent paragraph, and then ask them to provide in-text citations, and then provide a reference list at the end, So this has been working well, but the thing is, even though faculty member and student found this helpful, not every student can attend the workshop because of scheduling conflicts. So that kind of gave me the idea of maybe, when students are still in their country, they should get this kind of training, So before, if they get this kind of training when they arrive, then, it'll be easier for them to cope with this different academic environment. So I decided, to take this initiative one level up. So I kind of developed a summer short course with my colleague, Mary Van Woolen, and then in summer 2014, we taught this course to our Confucius Institute partner institution in China. It's Southwestern University of Finance and Economics. So we taught this course to the students at the School of International Business, and the graduate level, and they really love it because they never had this kind of active learning before. At their institution, it's very traditional teaching methods, lecture, taking notes. So this kind of give them a very new experience, and they really like it. So later on, I have been invited back to offer the same courses to different schools and colleges at that institution. So while I was there, I interact with faculty and students, and I found that to gain prestige and attract students, top-tier university in China, they expect academics to publish journals. They are listed in SCI, SSCI, or the counterpart of SCI and SSCI in China. So for novice scholars, this is a very difficult task. Another thing I found out is research methods are really taught at colleges and universities in China. The scholar, Chinese scholar, lack educational background in conducting empirical studies. So, that kind of prompted me to think that, if I have a training program, I can help teaching faculty and librarians to guide their students and also empower themselves to write publishable manuscript for international journals and conferences. So, I augmented the content of the course that I've given to students, and I developed a train-the-trainer program for faculty, staff, doctoral students, librarians, specialize in economics and finance. So I was invited by the Confucius Institute and our partners, institution's library director. So in 2017 summer, I offered this trainer program, and there were 80 participants and 15 from 15 colleges and universities across China. They appreciate, this kind of training. As I mentioned before, that some of them, some faculty members, they have come to Western countries to receive education. So but some of them, they haven't. And even those who have been getting their degree in Western universities, they acknowledge that, because it was a short period of time, they didn't really get in-depth training from, the universities they attended. So this is a good kind of refresh for them. So based on that, the feedback, the trainer program was repeated again in 2018. So that is like the internationalization, initiative that I have conducted overseas. But recent years, internationalization has become a major focus in higher education worldwide. And the steady increase in cross-cultural education requires libraries to provide support for teaching, research, and services. So at UAlbany, internationalization is one of our 5 priorities. So like our academic departments, our university libraries are an integral part of strategic planning and implementation. But in 2016, when our international education established the Institute for International Visiting Scholars, I took the initiative to recruit visiting librarians. I put together a program for them to learn American library operations at university, at Albany libraries, at the New York State libraries, and some local public libraries. And I coordinate with the director at the Institute to arrange cultural activities and serve as mentor. So visiting scholars, like visiting librarians, besides the library program, the visiting librarian also attended weekly seminar on U.S. higher education with the other visiting scholars. This seminar was organized by the Institute for International Visiting Scholars and was designed to help those visiting scholars better understand the American educational system. It discussed various pedagogical styles used in the American classroom and allowed participants to ask questions about some of their observations within or outside the classroom. So at the end of the training program, the visiting scholars, they will get a better understanding of how the educational system operates over here, and they were able to compare and contrast with the education system in their home countries. So besides, hosting visiting librarians, our libraries have been hosting international visiting students in library and information science field for the past 3 years. Since 2017, the Ministry of Education in Taiwan has made travel grants available for colleges and universities to send their students overseas to do internship or field experience for the purpose of broadening their horizons. So when I was actually recruiting visiting librarians, I established some contacts. So one of the faculty members at the National Taiwan University's Department of Library and Information Science approached me. He invited me to work on the grant application with him for his department to send students over here to do their internship field experience. So I worked with him, and then actually I talked to our dean, got her approval, and then I proceed with a grant application. So our application, was accepted every year, and so since August 2017, our libraries have been hosting 2 students from Taiwan during the month of August. The visiting students, they basically, I schedule them to visit every department, every unit, and talk with the librarian, learn from them. In addition, there are some cultural activities and some sightseeing. They use the free time like weekends to do some sightseeing themselves. So so they feel like, well, a lot of what we do, actually, they cannot see it at their institution. So they are very grateful for this experience. And this year, actually, they have already selected students, but because COVID-19, we are not able to do it. Hopefully next year we will continue. So I feel like while hosting international visiting librarians and students provides both the library and the campus community with meaningful exposure to diverse perspectives. And this in turn actually will enrich our own learning environment. So these are all the initiatives that we have been undertaking in recent years. So I don't know whether if you have a question, feel free to ask. Or you can wait until at the end, that's fine too.
Looks like we don't have any questions in the Q&A yet. Folks can feel free to put those in at any time, but in the meantime, I guess we can just keep rolling.
Right, and some of those questions, Q&A is answers too. So if you have something that's really interesting that you're doing and you want to share it with us, that's what we really, in a sense, that was one of the things that we really wanted from this. The idea is that we're not the only ones who are doing this. We know that other people are. So Yu-Hui brought up one aspect of diversity that our campus is very interested in. Our campus is very highly interested in diversity. They want to have engage many cultures, many people with diverse backgrounds. It really adds to the discussion that we have and the conversations that we have on campus. So another aspect of that is our educational opportunity programs. And so Becky's going to put up, you hear me, Becky? Can Becky hear me? The next set of poll questions. So this is, does your campus have support opportunity programs? And is your library involved with those opportunity programs? So I'll give you a couple of minutes in order to answer those questions. Okay, are we ready, Becky? Okay, a lot of you do. So does your campus support them? 67%. And actually your libraries are doing, is your library participating in those? So there's a lot of no's, which I'm really, really surprised at, because I would have expected, okay, if I were going to take a guess, I would have expected that most campuses, most libraries were doing at least something with the summer programs. So I'm going to kind of go over some of the things I do. I work with the Educational Opportunity Program, which is New York State funded. I also work with STEP and C-STEP, which is also New York State funded. But also we have a program called Project Excel, which is a TRIO SSS program, support services, and that's federally funded. We have a couple other programs in that, and again, they kind of fall under for us, it's the umbrella of the Office of Academic Achievement. And so if you want to go out and look at that to see what we're doing, that's fine.
Caroline, there is a question. How many departments are involved in the initiative?
Do you mean departments when you say departments in the university libraries?
I don't know. The question.
Okay, so in the university libraries, one of my roles is that I'm the educational opportunity liaison, in addition to being liaison for the Office of Academic Achievement. And so technically it's only one department. That we have other people, certainly our Circulation is really, really good. As far as this is concerned, our interactive media center works with students on a regular basis with this. I'm part of collections, but this part of this is really going to be a lot of information literacy that I do with these students. So our program, did anyone follow up on that? Yes. So you want, yes. So that gives you an idea of the involvement. We do hire, interestingly enough, we do hire a lot of the students that are in these programs. So our programs, each summer we average about 200 students. Those students come in for a pretty intense 5-week program. In that program, I see them 4 times. And that means I see each student 4 times. That doesn't mean I have 4 sessions. I see them over, usually it's over 4 weeks. So I give them a tour of the university library, which I have other people in the libraries do with me as well. But the other sessions, I do all of them. One of them I do on voice rather than the idea of plagiarism, the idea of, I want them to have a voice. I want them to know that their voice is important. We talk about the fact that when we usually have defined something like define sandwich or usually we define cookie. Because you can think of cookie in many different ways. We can think of it as something that's on the computer. We can think of it as something that we eat, that we really like to eat. And so we can think of it in many different ways. And usually when I have them define it, we talk about their definitions and they're just all a little different. And that's because we each have a different voice. Rather than being punitive with the idea of plagiarism, you shouldn't cheat, we come up with a more positive aspect of voice, okay, and being positive in that way. So one of the things with this is that I also teach about the discovery system and the idea of evaluating resources, okay. So I see those students in the summer. Those students have some knowledge of the libraries. The libraries are really, that's a big space for them. So every night, well, almost every night that they're in there for the 5 weeks, they come and they spend on average about 3 hours every day in the library after they finish dinner, okay? So they get a lot of their work done, a lot of the instructors that they have, their counselors, they meet them in the library, and so they collaborate in our library space, which is really important. It has really been very effective. Once the regular semester comes, these students they know the libraries because they've been in the libraries, they've used our services, they use our laptops, they use our phone chargers. They know the people in the library. So a lot of times they're the ones who end up getting positions in the libraries. So it can be really, really helpful. So so does it give you an idea of the difference? Other questions here? No, these are not visiting students. These are students who will be signed up into our educational opportunity programs. There are, on average right now, there's over the 4 years plus graduate students, there's probably around 700 to 800 students that are a part of our educational opportunity, plus probably an additional 300 that are going to be in the Project Excel. C-STEP is the summer, not C-STEP, but STEP is the summer. We do a lot with high school students in the local area and surrounding areas. Sometimes they will actually come and stay on campus. Their program is 3 weeks. And what I do with their program is they have, I see them for an hour each day for over 3 weeks. I see them 12 times. And we go over, their project is they have a research mentor. So they have one of our faculty members who actually works with them over those 3 weeks. They'll have a project. So let's say it may be somebody who is into robotics. They're creating robotic hands, okay? In my session, they go over some of the research that faculty may have done. They may go over and looking at some of the resources, other databases which talk about that topic. So they'll be able to find what a research article is. We talk about what research is and how somebody actually writes an article. So they're really getting a little more ahead than some of their peers, okay? These are students who are very interested in science. They're going to usually, their high school, they're going to move into the C-STEP program, which is going to be our college science, technology, engineering program. And so backtracking back to the EOP program, the EOP, I not only see them for those 5 weeks in the summer, but I see them when they come back in the fall. Our educational program, actually the instructors teach English and linguistics to these students in the fall and the spring. So I will see them 4 more times. So I've seen them 4 times in the summer, and then I see them an additional 4 times in the fall, where we go over, I am part of the scaffolding research part of their research projects. Okay, so they come into the libraries and they use the libraries, they find a book, they find journal articles, and we are using the knowledge from their evaluating web resources to them finding really good quality web materials. I see these students in addition. A lot of them come to my office hours. I set up not only my reference office hours, but I set up office hours where students can come. We do one-on-one with their researching. I've kind of expanded it. Here is something kind of interesting, because a lot of times they may be intimidated by the research project, but a lot of them are going to be looking for scholarships. So what I have done is I have extended my research services to them as far as going out and finding scholarships. So we use our research knowledge in order to find resources that are going to really actually be financially helpful for them, okay? And so in that, we've gone over searching the web, but here I can show them, these are some of the intricate ways, you know, when we do a search on the web for scholarships, if you just go out and type in scholarships, you're going to come up with a zillion. But when you really fine tune it, when you think about the idea of searching for professional associations, which are going to have scholarships, when you think about a professional association, the idea is your search in Google, you're going to have citecolon.org. So I'm giving them some of those techniques for something that's going to really be financially benefit for them. And so it really, we develop a stronger relationship with that.
Carol Ann, so that seems like a good place to jump in with this next question about the impact of your program and how the EOP students do in college.
Okay, our EOP students are, they are over 70, that we have a 70%, over 70% retention rate for them. That is comparable to our honors college. So and I've been working with EOP, 22, 23 years now. Okay. Other questions? Many of them go on to graduate school. It's another area which I understand that a lot of librarians are not going to do it, but I always think about librarianship as being the idea of organization of information, okay? And a lot of times students don't really know how to outline things. So when they get into their professional statements, when they want to go to graduate school, when we get into the idea of writing a scholarship, that you really have to be organized in writing something along those lines. A lot of times I will sit down with them 3 different times. Usually it's about 20 minutes each, the idea of organizing their thoughts. So the first time is we create an outline together. So what is it you want to say? What are you thinking about? What information do you want to get across to the person who's reading this? So they write up the outline. I send them off. They write 1 paragraph. I don't want more than 1 paragraph. There's nothing worse than having somebody write 4 pages and then you try to tease through it. What we do is we take that paragraph and we say, okay, these are the strong things in it. How can we make this sentence stronger? And again, I understand that writing, a lot of librarians do not want to engage that with students, but here again, it's the idea of organizing information. Sometimes I have them like stack their sentences up. Do they work well together? How would we organize this a little better and make this a little more coherent, okay? So there's certainly an area. Do I face any resistance from library administrators or other librarians? No, this is actually, this is definitely a place that our numbers, we actively promote the idea of working with these programs. Again, the students come in and they work with us. The university, again, we're trying to align with our university initiatives, and this is one of our university initiatives. So this is not something that I get too much of a pushback on. That's, yeah. And it's something that is extremely rewarding. I have students who come back to me over and over and over again. I have them in my, my summer pre-freshman, okay? And they come back to me that semester. They've got a project. I need some research on this. We look for it together. They go off. They come back to me, in their sophomore year. They're getting ready for another level, another something else. So this is something, I have students who actually now are counselors in EOP, and they will certainly tell you that, yes, they worked with me from the beginning, and they have continued because we built collaborations, and collaborations are extremely important, whether they are at a faculty, administrator, student, counselor level, advisor level, okay? Because those collaborations, those are the people who are going to recommend you. And certainly our keynote speaker today really highlighted the fact that collaborations are important. And those collaborations are, interestingly enough, collaborations are built, those relationships are built one student at a time, one counselor at a time, one instructor at a time, one mediated search at a time, one class session at a time. Because you may not get, when I have those classes, they may have 18, 20 students in them. I may only capture 2 that are going to come back to me on a regular basis, but I've captured those 2. And those 2 will often recommend other students that are around. I've actually had students who, bring students to my office. A lot of times these students excel. They're socially very engaged. They end up becoming the campus's orientation leaders. And they'll bring students to my offices that are new or say, if you ever need help, that's just who you go to, okay? So I think are we close to time, Samantha?
You are coming up on 10 minutes left, so it's probably, if you're at a good stopping point, I think this is a good time to open it up to questions from the audience. And
okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push out just an image, because you're going to be able to see some of the things that we do, and again, getting back into the idea of so these are some images of what we've done, the fact that the students use our libraries on a regular basis, that the fact that we certainly really try to engage them both in instruction and in collaborations. But, one of the things that you would see if you come into libraries, they've created really excellent habits about working and studying in the library. If you come into our library during the fall semester, and unfortunately we have had COVID-19, so spring was a little tough, but if you come into our large group study rooms, you're going to see a lot of these students regularly come to our libraries and study in the semesters in order, because they've developed those strong habits. Okay. Did we have any questions?
I don't see any in the Q&A or the chat, but actually I've got a question for Yu-Hui about kind of dealing with that cross-cultural difficulty in the context of plagiarism, coming from another school where we've got a significant portion of international students, in our case from the Middle East. Do you have any recommendations for how to have those conversations?
Well, I think, sometimes after we get workshops, and sometimes, students come to us, especially when we try to get feedback from students, actually we kind of arrange like one-on-one conversation. And I also reach out to faculty members, because faculty members, they feel the pain also. But the thing is, if you don't get buy-in from faculty member, it's difficult. And a lot of time faculty members, they don't have time to teach students the concept of citing sources or plagiarism because they kind of assume that they have this knowledge already. So actually, after we offering the workshops, we got question from faculty members like, how come you don't offer the workshop to our domestic students? You know, this is so important. So so actually to have dialogue with faculty members, you know, is very important. And to have conversation with students also, you know, I think we need to have that empathy, you know. I mean, like, well, I went through the process, so I understand the challenge. And so, you know, very often if I talk to students, they are very, they are open to share, you know, they are open to share. For example, that I encounter students at the end of our workshop. She told me that, you know, when she applied for programs to come to the United States, you know, you need to write those goal statements. And she copy and paste, you know, something from the internet, and she got caught. And so, you know, she was open, honest about that, and that kind of gave me opportunity to kind of share that, you know, it's not easy process, and that's why, you know, this workshop is important, and it was designed to address this kind of issue to help them out. Yeah, so I have more conversation with students, with faculty members, you know, I think it will help.
Thank you. And there's another question about the EOP programs. Do you have any plans to offer any credit-bearing library course for EOP students?
We actually, interestingly enough, it wasn't created for EOP students. That's something the university doesn't really want that you specifically, I mean, we do have an EOP program. Interestingly enough, I did create a digital professionalism class a number of years ago, information literacy, the idea of using LinkedIn, you know, what is your profile, your social media profile, if you want to go get a job. And actually, what EOP ended up doing is, because I stopped teaching that course, is they took a lot of those components and they have it in a sophomore a fall class. So the students who have come for the summer program, they see their counselors in the fall of their freshman year, and then they see them again in their sophomore year. And so in that, they go over a lot of those things like, you know, writing a personal statement, you know, creating an elevator speech, finding out about professional associations, things along those lines. And I do a lot of work in those classes with them. So, you know, I show them a lot of the search techniques, but the libraries do not have a credit course as far as that's concerned. Other questions?
The one thing I'd like to share is that, you know, a lot of times students do not know what they do not know. And so it's very important to talk to faculty members whose classes have international students, and for the faculty members to encourage students to attend the workshops. So every time when students attend the workshop, I have them sign in, and then I ask how they learn about the workshop. And a lot of time it's through my advisor, you know, through my instructor, my professor. Yeah, we advertise, you know, other places, but because the professor, you know, has the power, right? So they are, you know, what the professor share, you know, carry the most weight.
Right, and we will, it's very interesting because I was really a little nervous about what was going to happen with COVID-19 as far as the Educational Opportunity Program came this summer. They are doing it virtually. It'll be very interesting. And I am teaching, the only one that's going to be a little different are the tours, but everything else is actually a run, and I'm doing it all virtually. But it was noted, and I'd have to go look it up, but one of the emails is talking about which students really are best suited for in-person. It would be the EOP students. So we'll see how the online versus the in-person, a lot of those programs, the STEP program, the C-STEP, the Project Excel, a lot of those are the human-to-human interaction, which is really, really important, because that really helps with a lot of their social and cultural capital.
Excellent, thank you. So we are just about at time. It's 4:45, and we want to make sure that people have time to move to their next session or next event. So maybe we'll do a final call for questions or any additional comments from our panelists, and we'll wrap it up. Questions going once.
You know where to find me. NUA is not far from me.
All right. Thank you, everybody.